Rescuers make their way into the fourth floor of the Seoul ferry on day 4 of rescue operations. Divers report seeing bodies floating in the cabins for the very first time. Rescue efforts continue as obstacles arise. The ship is reportedly leaking oil into the sea as rough weather closes in on the site. More than 3 full days trapped in the ferry in water temperatures around 12 degrees Celsius. What are the chances of survival at this point? On Korea Today, Saturday, April 19th, 2014.
From Arirang News, this is Korea Today.
And thank you for joining us. You're watching Korea Today live on a Saturday morning. I'm Kim Young alongside Kim Min-jung.
The sunken ship disaster off the southern southwestern coast of Korea is bringing the whole nation together, and the world is closely following the developments. Even North Korea reported on it for the first time since the ship sank on Wednesday. Now, the latest in the search for survivors is that divers believe that they have spotted 3 bodies inside the cabin through the window. It's the first time since rescue operations began on Wednesday that divers have gotten a glimpse of the inside of the vessel and have seen bodies in the cabin. For details, we'll go right over to our Connie Lee standing by at the news center. Connie, what do we know so far?
Well, it was just a couple of hours ago, Min-jung, when officials said divers believe they spotted 3 bodies through the window inside the 4th floor of the sunken ferry, or the place where the passenger cabins are. Now, divers were not actually able to get inside the ship early this morning because they couldn't break through the windows. But officials say they are currently working on doing that right now. But in the meantime, new updates to the number of passengers inside that ferry. Now, late Friday, government officials acknowledged that they made a mistake in tallying up the numbers. 1 more person was added to the total number of passengers, making it 476 people on that ferry and not 475 as originally reported. But the number of rescued has been reduced to 174 from 179. And as you can imagine, this has caused outrage from relatives of those still unaccounted for. And the number of dead is currently at 29. And new this Saturday morning here in Korea, the captain of the ferry and 2 other crew members are in custody right now and have been formally charged. The 68-year-old captain, Lee Jun-seok, is charged with 5 counts. These include charges of negligence and a violation of a ship crew law, which requires crew to remain on the ship until all passengers escape. Now, we have video of the captain's face after leaving a court hearing this morning, and he spoke to reporters. And here he says he told people to evacuate the capsized vessel. Now, let's take a listen.
퇴선 명령 내리셨어요?
네.
승객들한테도 내리셨어요?
네. 불릴 때 있던 게 아니라 그 항로를 지시하고 잠시 침실에 볼일에서 잠시 갔다 온 사이에 그렇게 된 겁니다.
And there you hear it. The captain is basically saying it wasn't his fault that the ship had tipped over. And earlier he clearly said yes, he did tell passengers to evacuate. But as we've continually heard from surviving passengers, they say they never heard those orders from the ship. Min-jung.
Right, and under the Korean maritime law, the captain is completely responsible for the ship, the safety of the passengers, and also the actions of the crew. And I believe what we know so far is that the captain didn't do any of that. And 2 other crew members are also being charged and arrested. Tell us more about these developments.
Well, what we know now is that a 25-year-old third mate with the surname Park. Now, it's a female. She's a female who was reportedly at the helm of the ferry when it sank. Now, another crew member in custody right now is a 55-year-old man with the surname Cho. Now, these people were apparently the first ones to escape the sinking ferry.
We have seen countless stories and even mobile videos taken from surviving passengers that showed people inside the sinking ship, and I've seen one myself this morning. It is quite unnerving, and just imagine how terrified they must have been in that cabin, that sinking ship.
Right, the mobile videos actually show what it was like to be in that ship. Now, there's actually a new amateur video released today taken by a passenger that shows people staying put inside their cabins, even though the ship was severely listing. Now, you see here passengers passing out life vests, and some of them already wearing them. If we can have the video playing right now, passengers thought that the ship, that they would be able to evacuate, but then the announcement said that they should not evacuate, that they should stay in their rooms. And so that's exactly what they did. Now that's all I have for you right now from the newsroom. Back to you guys in the studio.
And thank you, Connie, for that. A little problem with the video feed. Now, as you heard, search and rescue divers have made their way into the vessel and believe that they have spotted several bodies through the window to one of the cabins. Now, the rescuers are racing around the clock or against the clock with the possibility of rougher weather conditions to come during the afternoon. Our Yudian is joining us live from the Pengmokang Harbor. Good morning. Can you fill us in with the latest from over there?
Hi, Young. Actually, there is a bit of a commotion here behind me. I'm hearing families screaming and yelling at the Coast Guards here. Apparently, they have found out that the vessel has completely turned over. It's no longer standing on its side underwater. That means the windows are all facing downwards. The windows have been crucial for these Coast Guards to get into the vessel. Now, none of these reports have been confirmed. Apparently, they have found out this by reading the text messages that have been sent between the Coast Guard. I will be letting you know in our later newscast as I find out more about the situation here. Now, earlier today morning at about 5:50 a.m. local time, as you mentioned, Young, the Coast Guard here, the divers here have actually went underwater in an effort to retrieve the 3 bodies that they have found, but they have failed to do so. They have failed to break down the windows, and efforts will continue on down here. Now, also, the Coast Guard here has decided to throw a wire net into the vicinity of the site so that no bodies will be drifted away by the current. Now, the official death toll put aside the 3 bodies stands at 29 right now. The latest victim being the female victim that was aged between 60 to 70-year-old. She was found at around midnight yesterday. Young? Okay, so actions are being taken as well as like a net being thrown down there, but we'll be waiting for some of your updates on the situation of the ship. But what about the rescue operations throughout the night? Were the rescue team able to get anything else done? Is there anything new that you could tell us about that? The rescue operation has been continuing here throughout the night and today morning as well. Mid-sized aircrafts have been sent out to the site so that they can launch flare bombs to light the night. And also divers have been going into the waters to get to the 3rd floor of the vessel, which is where most of the students are believed to be in. There have been conflicting reports all throughout the day and night yesterday. And just to make it clear for our viewers, the divers have been able to gain access into the vessel, but they were only able to get to the entrance of the 3rd floor of the vessel, but not much more than that. They were not able to get into any of the cabins there. Now, also 3 lift bags have been attached to the vessel. 23 more will be installed today and in the coming days. And also, there's been an oil spill from the Seolho ferry. An oil band of about 1 kilometer in diameter has formed around the accident site, and now the Coast Guard has to deal with 2 things. Of course, containing the oil spill now and also continuing the rescue operation. Young? All right, thank you very much, Leon, for that. Now, it seems that there have been some breaking updates there that we have heard. Apparently, there has been a situation that arose where the ship has turned on its side, and we'll get you more updates on that. But we're going to go right now to Pengmokang Harbor, where the families have been camping out there. And joining us on joining us live is Kwon Soa. Good morning, Soa.
It indeed was a restless night for the families of the missing ones here in the auditorium. Now, as they are awaiting even a small morsel of information, which anything other than the unbearable silence they have here. Now, a couple of hours ago, it was very quiet here as the families were attempting to get some rest in the auditorium, in the halls, or even in their cars. Now, but most of them are awake now. And at 10 a.m., officials from the Crisis Center here in Jindogun County gave a briefing at the auditorium on the latest search and rescue developments, and they said that divers are continuously working on trying to enter the cabinets.
Now, so it must be very difficult for those families to just wait, and we hear that many of them have collapsed from despair, understandably so. Families have been residing in the indoor auditorium or Pengmokang Harbor for 4 days now. How are they being looked after?
Lots of help has been offered so far. Around 2,000 volunteers have come to the sites here at the auditorium and also at the Pengmok Harbor to offer their help with necessary supplies, and other than food and water, blankets and other necessary supplies. Some ordinary people also have reached out a helping hand in the form of utensils, but also of money. However, welfare organizations say that instead of money, it would be better to come to the site and help.
Now, so there has been another sad twist in this tragedy, not from the waters this time, but the vice principal of Tanwan High School, the school which was on the ferry, is believed to have killed himself, and this has left many shocked.
Yes, we have learned that the vice principal has left a suicide note in his wallet in which he wrote that it is hard to live on not knowing whether the 200 students are alive or not. The 52-year-old added that he wishes his body be cremated and thrown into the site of the accident, and said that he hopes he can be the teacher of the dead students in their afterlife. Now, the vice principal was found hanged from a tree on a hill behind the Jindo Auditorium on Friday. He was aboard on the ferry when the accident happened, and he was one of the few that were rescued.
Thank you. So now we are hearing that divers have caught a glimpse of some bodies inside the ship. And once bodies are discovered, or better yet, if survivors are found, they will be brought to the Mokpo Hanguk Hospital located in Korea's southern Jeollanam-do province. We have a reporter standing by. Chi Myung-gil is at the hospital. Myung-gil, fill us in.
Yes, Min-jung, bodies from the Seoul ferry will be brought here to Mokpo Hanguk Hospital, where they'll be identified. Since Wednesday, 11 survivors are still getting their treatments. This morning, a 22-year-old identified female body was transferred to the Inha University Hospital located in Incheon. She was the one who gave up her life vest to a student. Families of the missing here are anxiously waiting for news of their loved ones. Hope has been in the air since Friday as divers were able to reach inside the sunken ferry. Once the bodies are examined, they will be sent to Korea University Ansan Hospital located south of Seoul.
Now, Myung-gil, with each passing second, minute, and hour, hopes for finding survivors are diminishing. However, I'm sure the hospital is on standby for any arrival of rescued passengers. How are they handling that situation?
Yes, the hospital is on current alert. They have prepared 50 beds for any possible upcoming survivors. And also a medical team is on current standby day and night. Several funeral rooms have been prepared for families that may have lost their loved ones through this tragic accident. The hospital has also set up a task force team to manage in identifying the bodies as quickly as possible.
I understand that some of the families of the missing are standing by at the Mokpo Hanguk Hospital hoping to greet their loved ones alive. Are they preparing for the worst news, or do they still believe that good news are maybe on the way?
Well, all the families at the hospital are hoping for good news. But as you can imagine, families are very upset about the situation. And also they're just waiting for days and days for their loved ones to come back. And also there is a great sense of pain and sorrow within the family waiting rooms. And also I have never ever felt such sadness in one place. And although rescue efforts have continued throughout the night, it seems not much progress has to be made, as you can see in the latest news. We'll keep you updated for any rescue passengers or recovered bodies arriving at the Mokpo Hospital. Back to you.
And that was Chi Myung-gil of Arirang News. And as Myung-gil just told us, different hospitals in Ansan, Gyeonggi-do Province are prepared to receive the bodies that are recovered. Now, Shin Se-min joins us on the line from the Korea University, not on the line, live from the Korea University Ansan Hospital. Now, Se-min, can you tell us what you have seen so far?
Yes, as the day breaks, many family members and friends are visiting the site, trying to give their last words and paying respects, although many of the mourners even stayed overnight to stay with the loved ones besides them. A total of 22 bodies have arrived to Ansan here in Ansan City, with 6 of those sitting here at Korea University Ansan Hospital. And the mood here is one of unimaginable sorrow. The first coffin is in the process of being borne at around the nearby funeral hall, and that is one of the teachers who lost her life after helping students evacuate the now sunken ferry. And at around 4 a.m., some 7 hours ago, the body of the vice principal of Taenon High School who committed suicide arrived at a nearby jail funeral here at Ansan. And another body, that of a female high school student, also arrived at another funeral hall in Ansan after being identified in Mokpo. As you've mentioned, the deceased identified from Mokpo Hanguk or Korean hospital are being transported into different locations, including here at this hospital. So funeral halls and hospitals in the region are on full standby as the more bodies were found at the accident scene and are expected to arrive once identified.
The entire nation is mourning the loss of those who perished. Our condolences go out to the families and the friends who've lost loved ones. But let's talk about the survivors who have been admitted and how are they being treated. Now, Korea University Ansan Hospital, I understand, has the most number of patients from the disaster.
Yes, Young, at least a total of 76 students and teachers are being treated as patients and are getting medical treatment. And officials at this hospital specifically told all media not to refrain from contacting any of the patients because they're suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. Nearly 80% of the treated patients are suffering from serious levels of stress, while more than half are seriously depressed. Doctors at this hospital say that patients will need to be treated for at least 4 weeks or even up until a year, depending on their seriousness of the conditions. And there is a press briefing by this hospital, specific hospital, sometime today. So I'll keep you guys posted with more updates. Young?
Thank you very much, Se-min. We can't imagine the difficulty and the mental anguish the survivors as well as the relatives of those confirmed dead and missing are going through. We wish them the best. Thank you very much.
Amid the frantic rescue efforts, we still don't know the answer to the question of how this tragedy all began. What exactly happened moments before the ship began to capsize? Authorities are now leaning towards the ship having made a sharp turn, which may have caused its cargo to shift fatally, tilting the vessel.
Now, some experts believe that this imbalance led to the ship's demise, but a problem lies in searching for an accurate record of the ship's last movements. The tracking record is missing. Now, Song Ji-sun has the details in this report.
All ships are tracked from departure to arrival with a device that emits a signal every 6 seconds. It's called the Automatic Identification System, or AIS, and is used for identifying and locating vessels. On the Sewol ferry, the system was working properly until 8:48 a.m., but by 8:52, the ship had turned 100 degrees and had sailed 400 meters. But the AIS was off for that 4 minutes, meaning the ship was damaged to a significant level that the electricity went off or the equipment stopped working. From that point, the ferry drifted north for over an hour until it came to a stop and eventually capsized. There's confusion about why the ship needed to change direction at the point it did.
The location is a turning point where the ship needs to start changing direction. We are looking into whether it was a normal change of direction or whether it changed direction due to an unusual circumstance.
But an official at the Oceans Ministry said there was no critical need to change direction, and the ship could have sailed on its regular route at that point. It's all down to the captain and the third navigator who was in charge of steering at the time to find out what really happened during those 4 minutes when the automatic tracking system stopped working. 송지선, Arirang News.
The clock is ticking, and we're dealing with a full-on battle with extreme variables, including cold waters, limited diving hours, and a glimpse of conditions from the ferry now completely submerged in the waters.
More possibilities are being laid out on the table of how to improve the chances of survival for the hundreds of passengers still missing. And the question that no one wants to face is, can the people still be alive? Lee Ji-yeon reports.
Now over 74 hours since the accident, a race against time with so many factors coming into play. After divers finally managed to enter the vessel, news now that they have confirmed glimpses of bodies trapped within what appears to be the 4th floor of the 5-deck ship. Rescue workers have yet to break into the cabins to further their search, pulling out of the water several times due to the murky waters and icy cold conditions. Water temperatures around Chindo Island hover around 11 degrees Celsius, far from what would be considered an environment friendly for survival. With the vessel now completely submerged and out of sight, hopes that possible air pockets could be providing the air that survivors desperately need is also in question.
It's now been a long time since the incident. The water is obviously cold. And in my view, it is only a very remote possibility that somebody could still be alive in trapped air.
Cranes are on standby at the site, but officials are exercising extreme caution, saying they will only recover the wreckage after receiving consent from the families of the missing, considering it could compromise any potential access to air. Also being considered is partially raising the ship to create an entrance for rescue workers and then injecting air. All measures that some believe simply may not be enough at this stage to provide room for survival.
I'm certainly not saying that it is impossible, but in my view, I think it is a very remote possibility now.
Nonetheless, it remains a possibility that family members continue to hold on to.
Morning, everyone. I'm Chun Song-cho with the weather update. As we enter the 4th day since the Seoul passenger ferry sunk off the southwestern coast near Chindo Island, the weather conditions are critical to how much progress can be made in the search operations. But the forecast looks rather bleak as we go further into the day. The morning conditions are similar to yesterday, relatively mild, but things get worse past midday. As you can see, the numbers go up from here to here from morning to the afternoon. The current wind speed right now is about 6 meters per second, but will reach up to 12 meters per second in the afternoon, bringing up the level of waves to 2 meters as well. All these conditions make it difficult enough, but one of the biggest obstacles for the search and rescue operations is the speed of the currents around the sunken ferry. Today, the average speed is expected to be around 10 kilometers per hour, which is extremely fast. So the rescue team has to rely on these times when the tide turns, bringing the flow to its weakest. It's 11:24 a.m. right now, and as you can see, we're in the middle of this critical hour at the moment, but even during times like these, the divers have to do everything they can just to hold their positions underwater, let alone move forward anywhere. Knowing that it's extremely dangerous and they're still out there in the open waters working against time. So everyone around the country continues to pray for everyone's safety. Now back to you guys, Young and Minjung.
And thank you very much, Song-cho. We do hope the weather will side with the search efforts. People in this country, as well as leaders around the world and public figures, have shown their support and condolences for the passengers of Sewol ferry.
Many of our viewers have also reached out with messages of support. We really appreciate them and hope that these prayers will not go unanswered. That's all we have for today. We'll be back tomorrow at 7.
Do stay with us throughout the day for more updates on the ferry disaster.
Thank you for watching.
Goodbye.